Hey, Warrior Saints. Glad to have you beautiful people with us as we continue our conversation from yesterday. So, and that you bring up a good point. I mean, about our battle plan for those, our audience who may or may not know, if they visit our website, warriorsaints.org, they can subscribe to our academy. And that battle plan is there, which gives those practical tools, and advice and guidance, from God on, and not that God gives us advice, but you know what I'm saying, like in how to live our lives in reference of the other person. I mean, that's the ultimate goal of that whole plan, is that it finds its capstone in loving the other. Got to get yourself right so that you can do God's business out there.
Yeah, it's not that God's giving you the advice. It's that we're showing you through that battle plan how to understand Scripture and apply it into your day-to-day life.
Right.
Into your everyday situations.
Yeah.
So that you're able to get out there and actually make it happen.
Yep. So here's an interesting, corollary to that. Like, let's go to the next example. I mean, the idea is, our when we teach Scripture, you and I, meaning to the best of our ability, it's transformative, right? I mean, God is the only true agent of change, and abiding by His word is the method of doing that. But it's a hard word, because it's asking us, as you said, to be comfortable being uncomfortable. It's asking us to be sacrificial, selfless, and so on. All right, so now let's say this. How do we, selfless with an eye on loving the other, which is why we talked about the rich lawyer and the Good Samaritan and all that kind of stuff. All right, so it's easy to see that when it's a homeless man on the street walking towards you who needs food. It's not always easy when you see yourself having an argument with someone, whether it be a friend, a coworker, a child, a spouse, right? Or anyone, really. But when the temptation is, I'm right, she's wrong, he's wrong, right? But how do we show love to another person in that kind of a scenario, especially when all emotional and egotistical cylinders are firing, right? Because someone offended me or said something.
I'm going to let you answer that one.
No, I asked you.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? Because when our emotions start getting in and all of the cylinders are firing and everything's going and pushing you to push and to fight and to rage and to fight. Did I mention fight already? It's like the 5 Ds of dodgeball. Dodge is in there twice.
Yes.
But it's like everything's pushing you in that direction, because as you started this whole thing with, we're so attuned to everything being transactional, and we are unable to get to the point of transformation when we stick in transaction. Yeah. And everything, because society is all consumer based. Yeah. Everything is pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing us in the direction of that transactional box. Mm-hmm. And it becomes really hard to get ourselves out of the box. There's a fun book out there called Leadership and Self-Deception. And in it, it talks a lot about leaving employees in the box. And that as leaders, you need to figure out how to not put your employees in the box. And the box is what you've decided they are.
I understand. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Say it again. The box is what you've decided they are.
Yeah. So you've put them in a box that you then think of them in. And then you keep them in that box because that's where you're comfortable. Yeah. And if your relationship is purely transactional, they're always going to be in that box because you need them in that box. Mm-hmm. But if you want your relationship with them to actually be transformational, then you need to help them break out of that box.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I was thinking too about like the whole thing you were talking about, transactional and versus transformational and so on. One tool that it was a light that clicked in my head God gave to me, and I even wrote about it in my book. There's a whole chapter on it, particularly in those arguments with spouses. It's with all of them, but with spouses in particular, you want to be right. And well, if I'm right, that means she's wrong. And conversely, if she's right, then I'm wrong. And our ego's too delicate to ever, not ever, but, many of us have delicate egos that we have to be right and so on. And I challenged that. I mean, always stand up for truth. Okay, for sure. But do you need to be right or do you need to win?
Mm.
And I see those two difference. The title of that chapter in my book is Don't Be Right, Win. And my wife and I, thank God, don't fight very often. But when we do, I have the temptation to be right. I've got to show her. Well, do I? Is it really worth it? Or do I just want to win, i.e. find healing and makeup in the situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point? Is my ego so precious? Yes. To me, that's why I'm a sinner. But is it really of value? No, it's not of as much value as I want to give it. So just win. Let it, and I guess what that means is in those situations, there's crucifixional, right? Because let's just say that in an argument, you think you're right and the other person is therefore wrong. And it may be, in the case of your kids and their socks, that you have to be didactic and teach them how to pick up their socks. But in some sense, it's like, well, I'm just going to try to be right and show them, get my way and feel good. But does that bring any juice to the relationship, any healing, any love? I mean, is there anything successful in that? I mean, that's just ego-based. Instead, you've got to sacrifice your desire to always be right in order to win. And what I mean by win is finding that healing and that restoration in the relationship. That, my dear, to use your words, is transformative, not transactional.
Yeah. Well said.
Thank you. I don't know where it came from. Not for me.
But I mean, that's ultimately, that's about as realistic as we can get with how do we do it? Because the reality is the struggle gets real. It's a struggle to love others, and that struggle gets real, and it gets real, real fast. And so we got to figure out how to find our ways through that.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if our destination is loving others, then we need to overcome that struggle.
Yep.
So that we can actually get from the place of purely transactional and move to transformational.
Yeah, you're right. Because the goal, like in that whole thing, I lost it. I mean, I was talking about don't be right, win, but it's not about just healing the relationship. It's about healing that relationship because God has asked me to love another. And so my wife may be annoying to me in this situation and all that kind of stuff, but she is a child for whom Christ died, as Paul tells us, a child of the kingdom. And so, I mean, all people are, right? All human beings, which means they all have that inherent value that we need to give to them. And our focus needs to be like Noah, right? Blameless and righteous before God, always showing love to the other person. And so the healing in that relationship is not just for my sake.
Yeah.
And it's not even just for our relationship's sake. It's for her sake because my focus has to be on her. But that mental shift is hard. And that's why there's the war within that we keep talking about, because every freaking thing we see is pushing I, self, right?
And it's easier.
Totally.
I'm pushing I, self.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's inherently what we're doing all the time. We want to push that. We want to do what we want to do when we want to do it and how we want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's not how it always works.
Right. Yeah. For sure. That's something we need to get over.
Yeah.
Always getting my way and doing what I want. That's self-focused.
Yeah. All right. I think this has been fun.
I enjoy it. Thanks.
Thank you.
You know, it's funny you brought up dodgeball, and it made me think of Rip Torn, God rest his soul. Do you think that's his real name? Or do you think it meant he was a joke? Like if you rip, then it's torn. Is that, I don't know. That's just what happened in my head. I don't know. What do you think he means? You said it. God rest his soul, Rip Torn. Well, say the line. Say the line. Your favorite line. Don't say it. You can't say it.
You can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball.
Yeah, that's so great. What a great movie. How do we watch that stuff? And then people let us teach them about Jesus. Oh my gosh. God help us. Anyways, fun. Good stuff.
You too.
Love you. Please enjoy. Hope you enjoyed this. We got insane at the end. We'll be back on Sunday with Orthros and Divine Liturgy at 9 and 10 as usual. And then back again next week to give you some more. Love you, beautiful people. Have a great, safe weekend. And as always, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.